you love, covering all things professional wrestling. A show by members of the Busted Open Nation. Welcome to the Nation's Corner. Here are your hosts, the Nation's Corner crew.
Yo, what's up, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to Nation's Corner. I am Front Row, joined by John in South Jersey, Mongrovian Mike, and our very special guest today from Busted Open, Andre, the producing giant. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
What up?
Just finished Busted Open
of...
here. I'm happy to be with you guys.
Mm-hmm. It was a great show today. It was really interesting. Actually, there's a couple things from the show I wanted to pick your brain on. We're living in a really interesting time as wrestling fans because there's so much going on. There's so much connective tissue between all the companies. And you ended the show today on Busted Open with a great interview with Jimmy Smith. And, he talked about he's going to be calling Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 13, right? 13, I think.
Yes.
And before we dive into Wrestlemania, I want to talk about Bloodsport specifically as an event because it's really grown into this hub, this central place for all the companies to participate. And almost like back in the day, UFC used to be like what was the best fighting style. And to me, Bloodsport is sort of becoming that pro wrestling. Let's throw all of our good people from our various companies and promotions into the same arena and see what happens. And let me start with you. How are you feeling about, sort of what Bloodsport's been doing?
Bloodsport is always blowing my mind because it started off as just something that we would just text each other about, just a few highlight reels of something that's really cool and a concept that we've never seen before. And being that Bloodsport was able to take over the East Coast for a little bit, I was blessed to be able to sit in person and feel what Bloodsport is all about, seeing that it's more than just, we're watching matches of a different type of style, but now they're telling stories in the ring through professional fighting technique. And I got to see Bloodsport 12 when it was in my hometown of Jersey City. Then following that, it was Josh Barnett over in the Hammerstein for the GCW show against the new Busted Open host, Bishop Dyer. So seeing the thread of Bloodsport and how they're able to first create stories with their talent, but secondly now, to your point, Front Row, to import a lot of different stars from all across the board. Now you're taking Bloodsport into a whole new level where it should be its own entity. And I'm happy that it's an open door where everyone could gain experience, have a new side shown to them, add to their storytelling. For example, Carmen Petrovic, that whole Bloodsport matches that she's been in is now bleeding over to NXT storyline. They know that she's a tough badass. And that's where we're at now with GCW and with Bloodsport. And let's just add the cherry on top here. Getting Jimmy Smith, a professional broadcaster for the MMA boxing side of the world, to come in and to bring the full real fight feel to Bloodsport. Like, the commentary there is phenomenal, but Jimmy Smith is going to add an entire different level to it.
Yeah, and so and I wanted to ask John, you've been a combat and sports enthusiast for pretty much your whole life. And I know we've talked MMA, we've talked pro wrestling and stuff, but I just want to talk about some of the people that are on this card, to Andre's point, and get your perspective. Like, Natty versus Miyu Yamashita is a dream match that a couple of years ago would have been laughable, right?
Yes.
But we're seeing some very credible people on here. Pete Dunne, Timothy Thatcher, Layla. I mean, even, holy cow, I mean, Shayna and Josh versus Gabe, like this list of people from all over the world and all these different companies. What sort of has caught your eye as like an, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening type of match?
Just that overall vibe, that this, absolutely open door policy. It doesn't matter who if you're good, if you have those grappling or those, different than pro wrestling skills, it doesn't matter who you work for, what else, if you're good, you'll be invited. Josh will extend the invitation, and it has absolutely given us matches up to and including what we're going to see this coming week that you will never see, and the style of the match, of the presentation, no ring or no ropes in the ring. It's very much that ground based, grappling kind of catch wrestling type of wrestling that we normally don't see on any other programming. Nobody else really does. And that's one of the great unique things about Bloodsport, that not only are you going to see people that you know and names that you know in a very different type of arena as far as combat, but again, the presentation and just the simple fact that we'll never see a Miyu Yamashita versus Natty on AEW or WWE, but you'll see it in Bloodsport. And that's
The beauty of
really
Bloodsport, to add on to that, is Bloodsport is Josh Barnett and a ring without ropes. That's what it comes with. That is all you need. The venues change, the roster changes, but you know that Josh is coming in with that ring and the respect that the fans have for that product, and everybody just wants to be a part of it, or he'll call somebody he knows is going to deliver. And that's what we're seeing next week in Vegas in Bloodsport here.
Yeah,
and the one match, I'm just saying that I can't believe it's happening. This feels like I had action figures of them, just pulled them out and started my own thing. Is Zack Sabre Jr. against Jonathan Gresham.
Yeah.
That's gonna
and
be
the oh my god matches, especially coming up for Vegas, is it's just one after another. It's like, and in most cards you have like one, maybe two matches that you are like, wow, that's gonna be really cool. This is match after match after match after match. Like, wow, if you're not watching this, you're wrong. And especially, and my last real commentary on how Bloodsport can affect people. My daughter, our resident medical advisor, Brooke, went to her first ever Bloodsport match, first ever actually live Bloodsport last year in Philly when she went with me for Bloodsport 11. And she, after the first 5 minutes and just seeing how the fans in that room at the collective were for that show, she's like, this is different. And I like this. And I'm like, I told you.
Yep, exactly. And I definitely I'm with her sentiments, because I've never really been into UFC and boxing. I've just been on the periphery of that. I know people and it looks cool, but I just didn't get into it as I did wrestling. So seeing Bloodsport kind of introduced me into that more, and where else can you see Speedball Mike Bailey have like 25 matches in a weekend? So
yeah,
if there wasn't for the collective, 10 of those matches would be gone. So we need that. But no, you definitely, on a serious note, this guy Barnett is like a goodwill ambassador of the business, because he gets everyone, every company from small, around the world to, companies that might even be bickering with each other. They're there. The stars
and if I
are there.
can add too, you're gonna get all the talent here, and you're gonna feel like, well, on paper it's gonna look like a long card, because we all have had our gripes with a card with 10, 11, 12 matches. But when you watch it, whether in person or on Triller TV, it goes by fast. The matches don't go fast. The style is perfected there, and you'll get to enjoy an emotional experience in the art of combat. But it goes by fast.
It's because you're enjoying
2.5 hours are done.
Yeah, because you're enjoying it so much, and they're putting together such a good quality match. Like each match is, every match is a Macho Man Steamboat match. Like it's like it's.
Yeah, you're absolutely.
And to your point, Faro, like getting into what match you're getting, as soon as you just see a Bloodsport, as soon as they announce it, they're going to announce something cool, but they announce something that you blows your head, blows your mind, and then there's going to be more after that. So it's if the whole collective really is just
it's wild that you say that, Mike, because we talk about. During the Triple H era now, we talk about having a lot of faith and belief in their ability to tell stories and deliver on whatever they're giving us. We have a lot higher level of confidence. To your point, as soon as I see Josh Barnett's announcing an event, I'm like, okay, I'm in because I know the matches are going to be good. I know the competitors have been hand chosen because they can work that style, and I also know that we're going to get stuff that you're not going to see anywhere else.
Exactly.
To your point, Andre, and I'm just looking at this card. So there's 10 matches, and we have people from WWE, AEW, NXT, New Japan, Tokyo Joshi Pro, TNA. I mean, that's like 6 companies and 10 matches. Like,
and I'd like to say that I'd like to add too that if people think, oh, WWE controls it, then listen, WWE just says, you know what, hand back our, give us back our talent, uninjured,
yeah,
and that's that. It's not they have to control something because nobody has.
It also gives people like an interesting opportunity. Like, we always talk about what a legend Natty is, but she doesn't really get to wrestle. If you watch her training videos, she can really go, and she's trained with Ronda and Shayna and all these people. So to see her in this type of matchup, I think is going to be interesting. But I look at like a Tavion Heights and I go, man, like that's not a style that he wrestles in NXT. Right? Mm-hmm. So what are we going to see from him? Now I'm really interested to see him go against Royce Isaacs, who I was a fan of in the NWA.
And the people in NXT are doing the right thing by sending their talent to Bloodsport because it adds to, in an everything counts setting, storyline pieces that you can go off from, and also character development that they're able to be showcased and featured with the talent of today, toe to toe. So it's not like you have a homegrown WWE that's in a bubble that hasn't touched anybody in the outside, so you can't really compare them. Now you're getting the talent here even before they're making it up the NXT ladder, having incredible matches in different styles. And if they really shine in here, like Carmen Petrovic, I am praising up the moon. She won me in Jersey City. She's very somebody impressive. Now that it starts off in NXT with someone with a swordsman gimmick. Like, we got to see that character. They've done it so many times already through the years, but no one has fully solidified the character in the way that Carmen has, thanks to Bloodsport, because now they're showing her, okay, let's go outside of WWE style. How can you fight? Can you sink or can you swim? And she swam.
Yeah. Well, look what it did for the whole no quarter catch crew.
Yep.
Period.
Yep, that's right.
Charlie Dempsey has been on Bloodsport. Miles Bourne has been on Bloodsport. Now Tavion Heights. I have no idea if I won't say Maddie, but Ren Sinclair does. But it's possible that you can see her on a Bloodsport match.
So if that was possible, we'd all be very happy because you could hear the chants in the crowd now, like, because they're give it time. They're simmering her because when she starts, doing her thing, it's going to be very special too.
Oh yeah, Red Sinclair to me right now is in a really sweet position where we may not see it in first hand, but a lot of the talent that we see that is taking losses to other stars on the rise or having really big matches that no one tends to talk about tend to become the anchor of that generation of talent as they go through the NXT system. Bayley was that for the 4 Horsewomen. That's why the 3 went up. She stayed in and helped build like Asuka and that generation all the way up to, Roxanne. And now Roxanne's this anchor, and she finally got her debut last night on SmackDown.
She's young, but she's seasoned, and she knows how to
she's gonna anchor them.
Do what she does, and it's there.
And she's also somebody. So here's the analogy I'll make. I feel like the 3, like WWE, NXT, and AEW, all have one performer that's a standout from a character perspective. Chelsea Green is an example of that. Harley Cameron to me is an example of that. And although you probably haven't seen it yet, trust me, Maddie is also someone that can bring that character as well when she gets the opportunity.
Yeah, to your point, front row, she's already starting the interview questions and stuff. So that's going to start, and that's going to get her to the next, the next step up.
Yeah. So Bloodsport is the 17th. It's going to be really cool. We're going to all watch it. So check that out. It's on Triller Plus. I think it's
Plus,
included in
yes,
Triller Plus, maybe.
yeah. It's
So yeah,
Yes.
if you subscribe, it's already there on Trailer Plus along with everything else for the collective. And
Yes.
I believe the entire collective, all the shows, if you have to purchase it, is I think $40 for the whole weekend or week. And it's
that's not bad.
yeah.
You're getting quality
Also,
out
you
of it.
could
Yeah.
Venmo me, and I will send you Neil. I will send you Neil's password.
Well, that works too, but
And you know why I got away with that? Because he can't type in the chat. Fuck you, Grandpa. So
right.
okay, sorry. Go ahead, front row.
Yeah. So also, I want to give a shout out to our good friend of the show, Izzy Moreno, who's been sort of making a name for herself all over the place. She interacted with the WWID folks over the past week, and it looks like she's going to have a non-tournament WWID matchup at the collective of Bloodsport. I think it's the 16th. Is it Wednesday? I believe.
Yes, the 16th.
Yes. The,
And if I'm reading this correctly, if she wins this matchup, she may earn a spot in the tournament.
yes.
My correct? Okay.
Yes. Yes, you are.
So she'll be a last minute call in, pretty much, like just right when the win comes in, she's into the tournament. That'd be
Yeah,
pretty
be.
dope.
Yeah, could be.
Could be.
She
Talk
could
about
be
long-term
wrestling.
storytelling.
I believe that that ID tournament takes place Thursday before Bloodsport, if I'm remembering the schedule.
Yeah.
Just like she
So
grew
it's
up, just like she grew up with the Busted Open family. She's grown up alongside with us too as well, and we all root and cheer for that kid, man. Oh man, she won all of our hearts over.
And how many stars have you seen the commentators say the boyhood dream has come true? And it's only a saying. But with Izzy Moreno, if she does find her way into that light of WrestleMania, which I thoroughly believe she will, but when that happens, her whole like girlhood dream come true is not simply a statement that a Michael Cole or whoever's commentating at that time could throw in. It's footage. NXT
she better
crowd
be coming in
from
on the zip line like
2015,
HBK.
the takeovers, the tears, the Bailey ponytail, the hugs. You have all that thrown in,
all
and
that
the
footage they
that
have
could
from
get
day
from
one.
Full Sail NXT.
Oh yeah.
That footage from day one they have. Who knows what backstage? All the hot take with Izzy footage that she could give them, and I mean, so she just has vignettes for forever.
Yeah.
Well, and did you notice too? And I think it was last week or the week before, she and Mercedes went back and forth on Twitter as well. It's fantastic. And she posted a picture. Izzy posted a picture. I don't know that she had posted before. And I'll tell the story now because I think she told it publicly. Is that after Sasha made her cry, she brought those flowers back and gave them to Izzy, which is the picture that Izzy posted. She's like, "Hey, you gave me these flowers," and they started shit talking back and forth. It was fantastic. Yeah, and for me, I have a personal connection to Izzy and the family. It's July 16th. I only know the date because it's on my folder for the NXT show that I went to in Venice, Florida. That was when I met, Izzy and her family. And so it's been 10 years, which is insane. She was this big and had tassels and was running around yelling and taking pictures. And I was like, look at that crazy little kid. And now she's, the Mission Pro champion and headed to do big things with GCW this week. So that's friggin' awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so while we're here, I think there's a big show next weekend. I have to check my notes.
Oh, is there? I don't know. It doesn't feel like it.
It's funny because my youngest son Cameron doesn't follow wrestling, but he's like, my God, I'm seeing so much stuff across my whole timeline. He's like, I don't follow anything wrestling related, and it's just permeated everything. And so, if you get a chance, check out the WrestleMania 9 doc on Peacock that just dropped yesterday. And it's the first WrestleMania where they had it thematic. It was themed, and they took over the city of Las Vegas. It's the first time that they had done that sort of like we are a brand that's everywhere. And for people who have the opportunity to go to WrestleMania, I've been to a few. Here's my WrestleMania 33 shirt, which is hot as hell. I only wear it once a year. It is crazy. The moment you touch down, it's in the airplanes, it's in the airport, it's in every street corner. When we were in Philly, they changed the names of all the streets. It is insane how big this thing has gotten, and I can only imagine how crazy Vegas is right now.
Well,
I'll
right now they have
compare
the
it. I've been
construction as
to
well of the stadium of what the set's gonna look like. So you got that, the promotion way before the talent even walk in. Like that place is on full takeover. Like I remember Mania 29 and 35 here in Jersey. If I was just driving around downtown Jersey City, it's not a poster, right? It's a full banner across a brick wall saying "Welcome to WrestleMania" with like John Cena's face on and Triple H's face, Charlotte. Like they take over the town.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I went to WrestleMania too, so I had a beer in the parking lot and went in.
Well, now
and
now it's $100 to park, and it's $30 beer.
Yeah.
But what they have to say though about that WrestleMania doc, please get to watch it, is that is footage that at the time would be deemed heretical to even record. That's why and if like I'm not spoiling anything here, but you even if you go to any of the OGs in wrestling, if you point a camera at them, if it's like a behind the scenes, they'll immediately ask, "What's this? What's the business? Why are you doing this?"
Right.
And especially in the time of kayfabe, when they're heavily protecting what's going on in the ring, this was something that shouldn't be done. But the fact that they're able to seal it, age it a good 30 years, especially now that we are in the era of documentaries, tell-alls, and just behind the scenes footage being explained and brought to life. They covered it really well from head to toe. They explain how
did
hectic
they keep it
WrestleMania
so
week
secret?
is there. Worth watching.
How did
The
they keep it
WrestleMania
so,
itself,
so
I wouldn't
under
recommend.
wraps?
Go if you want at your own risk. But the behind the scenes, I'm definitely 2 thumbs up with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really crazy to me because there's a moment in the doc where they're doing rehearsals. And okay, so like I've been involved with wrestling a long time. One of the things that they don't really talk about, to pull the curtain back 100%, is to say, I don't think I've ever seen in a documentary how a match is produced, how a match is agented, like all the really nuts and bolts of how wrestling happens. I don't really ever see that. So to me, seeing a rehearsal, seeing like, oh, this is the production, this is the business behind something, that's interesting. There's a moment where Vince McMahon's standing there with a clipboard, like they're doing rehearsals the day before, and he's just talking to Randy Savage, who's completely out of character. He's talking to Yokozuna, who's just sitting there, just talking. It's all of that is so fascinating to me, and hearing from a lot of the people they interviewed a lot of the production people who were there, who helped produce the show, and they're telling you all this crazy shit. Like, and I'm not going to spoil any of that stuff, but really, it's almost 2 hours long, and you'll feel like, oh, I could have done 2 more hours of this. So definitely check it out.
45-minute watch. Seriously, if you're debating on whether or not to watch it, put in the time. It's really good.
It is really good. Okay, so on to actual WrestleMania. I know that there's been some criticism about the build. I personally think I like the slower builds. I like the fact that they're going to punch us these last 2 weeks, which they did this week for Raw and SmackDown. I thought SmackDown was really solid. I fully expect Raw and SmackDown to be big shows this week, from a character and storytelling perspective. Before we talk about the big matches, I want to give some credit and get your thoughts on things like, oh my God, Naomi as a heel is working in a big way.
I
want to start
razor blades on TV. That girl is serious, and I love it.
Naomi is something else now. Whoever knew, let's say she's been in the company for at least 15 years, from her first gimmick with the Funkadactyls, I think is what they were called at the time, all the way till now. We've seen a few character changes, entrance changes, outfit changes, and they've all worked every time. But it's a love and appreciation thing. It's never, let me get my heels synced in on what's going on in her life here. This is it. This is her best work right now. And the fact that she's able to have meltdowns and not show it on the TV itself, but just on social media, just like expressing right away like how she is feeling and adding more to the story. We're seeing layer upon layer upon layer of Naomi, of Trinity Fatu, that's been, lack of a better way of saying it, but that's been hidden for a long time, or someone did not see the creative direction that could have been done with Naomi. But now it's shining, and we're seeing Naomi in a whole new light, in her best form yet, and B, we're seeing Jade rise up. When we eventually tell the tale of Jade Cargill, the first one on that list there that we're going to bring up is Naomi, future WWE Hall of Famer, by the way.
Yeah, and so Mike, I want to ask you, because like I know that we were big fans of seeing Jade Cargill came in. Unfortunately, she got injured and had to be out for a little while. But this side of her, this presentation of her saying to Naomi, "Hey, I'm already a bigger star than you've ever been, and I just got here." This sort of like, I don't even know that there's, Naomi's a bad guy, but like Jade's kind of an asshole too. Like I like this. Not, this isn't like the catfight bullshit that we used to see. These are two superstars who are vying for a position in the company.
Yeah, they're beyond calling each other bitch. Using that that overused term. This has got meat on the bone, and it's not going to end, and it's going to show. Everybody appreciated and loved Naomi, but it's going to show where she is championship level. Like she's a singles. I mean, she left, and everyone bet against her, and bet on Sasha Mercedes, and didn't realize that both were going to come back making lots of money. So,
well, I have an interesting take, and I think it's great just for women's wrestling in general. You have legit two alphas battling out right now.
Exactly.
Where we have seen that on men's rosters in the past across all wrestling. But this is the first time that I can remember that you have two legit alpha women saying, "I'm better." No, I'm better. Well, we're going to get in the ring and find out.
Yeah, John, what you're saying is right. It's two women that one wasn't the weak one that had to be taken out.
Right.
It was where the hell did you come from? Okay. Me and Bianca, we've been here. It's right back to Bianca. Hey, you don't go here.
Right. But
it's right. Part of it is they're fighting not only for Bianca's friendship here, but also we're talking about a women's tag team title reign in place here. Yes. Half of it was with Jade, half of it was with Naomi. So which, if you were to say this tag title reign, like who held the belts here, who defined the title reign, that's another layer to this match between Naomi and Jade.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's I also find it really interesting too, because like, we see stuff on social media. People talk about representation and how important it is, and I 100%. But like, we've seen those images from WWE where they clearly are giving you this just for the sake of the picture. In this case, we have two incredible athletes, and it didn't even occur to me literally until this morning that I'm like, oh, we have two women of color in this great storyline. Which is kind of what it's supposed to be, right? Like, it's supposed to be not only are they amazing athletes, but they're also a representation as females and as women of color. But all of that, as important as it is being driven by the story and not the reverse, which I think is a good place to be.
We've spent the past 5 minutes talking about the beef they have, the title reign, Bianca, even before we even got to the representation aspect of why they're on the grandest stage of them all together. There are so many more layers and so many more reasons that fans are emotionally invested before you even look at the race or the physical or any of those, like, very shallow topics there that could be thrown into the mix for a women's match.
Which is why
something that you want to see squashed.
Yeah, a lot of times, which is why I don't even I didn't even think of bringing it up. I probably wouldn't have brought it up, but it's not because I don't support everything going on. It's because to me, it's just, hey, you know what I mean? Like how many times do we watch and we go, and all of a sudden, like, later on we'll go, hey, did you know all three shows tonight had women main event? Oh, and hey, wait, that show had them all threaded all the way through. I mean, NXT pretty much is sometimes it
Your
feels not
NXT
that
main event picture for Stand and
yeah.
Deliver is 3 men of color right there. You got Javon Evans, Trick Williams, and Oba Femi, and we're looking at
All that,
them two with their beef with each other, and we're looking at who's going to come out
yep.
of that PLE as the champ.
And
Like, that's going to
all
be an
that stuff
intense match.
goes like over my head, which is to me what we want. Like, don't even think of that, and then there you go. And when something's going wrong, that's when you raise your fucking voice. Now, it's good that it's opposite.
Yeah, and so as I'm
Not that
looking
it
at this
doesn't
night one,
exist not that it doesn't exist anymore. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, you know my point.
so as I'm looking at night one, and I thought it was really cool what they did last night by giving us the actual matches for both nights. Like, this is what to expect, which I appreciate, because I'm going to watch both nights anyway. But maybe some people have specific matches that they're tuning in for. But a couple weeks ago, I was looking at the Charlotte and Tiffany match, and I think a lot of us were sort of thinking that the story was kind of lackluster and maybe wasn't really hitting, and then Tiffany cuts that promo, and whether it was planned or not, I don't really care. Like, I tend to think that everything's planned out, and then I hear from people on Busted Open, like Nick Nemeth, saying, "No, I don't want to know until we get out there." Like, okay, so whatever. But I think that brought a lot of heat. The parking lot attack from Charlotte attacking Tiffany, like the stuff that they've been doing on social media. Charlotte's social media has been on point, just amazing. I'm a lot more invested in this match today than I was a week and a half ago.
Charlotte finally entered a different style of storytelling. That took me a while to really figure out what was my gripe with a Charlotte Flair promo, because Charlotte is indeed the greatest of all time in terms of women's wrestlers, the accolades, the physical abilities, and the level of storytelling she could deliver. But she is also a product of an era where promos were very structured, and there's a certain cadence to it, to the point that a lot of us fans that lived through it, when you start hearing that cadence, we start tuning out subconsciously. We don't even notice about it. Like, if there's nights we're watching like wrestling together, and then you start hearing the cadence of that, we're ending up having conversations. So Charlotte is it's a victim. She's a victim of learning that style and sticking with it. But the past few weeks, that has all changed. We started seeing after Elimination Chamber that Charlotte was, delivering that same type of promo, and the fans weren't buying into it. And now, that night in Chicago, like, she was really trying to set that up again, and the crowd said, "No, we don't want any of that. They want something different." And Charlotte, like the queen that she is, adapted, was able to do an everything counts type of storytelling as well outside of the camera. And now that stuff's got really personal, it's been even juicier now.
Yeah, and I think she's somebody who's been at the top of her game, been considered one of the best wrestlers on the planet for so long, that I don't think a lot of people really paid attention to the fact that her promos aren't as good as other people. Like, we have people and John, I want to get your take on this too. In NXT, there's a couple of women in NXT who can cut promos.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Parker, may I say?
Well, that one of the ones absolutely that comes to the top of my list. But yeah, and I think it's. I don't want to call it evolution, but like to Andre's point, it's adaptation. It's being able and having not only the ability in the talent, but also the ability within the company, within the promotion, to say, okay, this isn't quite working. How do we make it work? What do we do? And do it almost instantly and on the fly. And all of a sudden, we're none of us, myself included, were that interested in Charlotte and Tiffany. But now all of a sudden, we absolutely are now like, wow, this is getting good. And I want to see them night one and see how this all turns out. because it's one of the things now. Granted, we've talked about it and said, yeah, they're going to force feed to Charlotte, and Charlotte's going to take the championship back, and it'll be an okay match, and whatever. But now, I'm not 100% sure. I'm really not. You know, all the other background hype put aside, now, do I think that Tiffany can physically beat Charlotte Flair? Maybe. Can she catch Charlotte slipping one time and get a 3 count? Absolutely. Tiffany has been one of the ones that we have watched grow up so fast and so quickly right before our eyes that we don't realize that we don't think she's at that level, but she is at that level, because why would they be having the match if she wasn't? So is this about Charlotte and legacy and being the best woman on the planet in wrestling? Or is this about Tiffany making that next step up, that level up, going against the very best? And to me, that's very compelling about this story as well.
It's more as a fan, right? It's like a matter of the mind versus the heart. Like, your mind thinks like the future is going to be the right direction to go. Tiffany could win, but deep down inside your heart, like, she's the queen. So you want her to win. So you're kind of torn that way.
It's hard to bet against her. Yeah, it's hard to get bet against Charlotte against anybody.
I look at it this way: it's Tiffy time, and there is still time for Charlotte. Later, Charlotte ain't going anywhere, barring injury. She's not going anywhere, and she's not going to injure herself. How long did she go before she got this? She's a machine. She's an athlete, and she is the queen, like you said, Andre.
I do have a question though when it comes to this, because right now it's steaming hot because of that night in Chicago. It was on its it was a gradual build to Mania, but that night in Chicago really skyrocketed it. Is it something by design, you think? Or it's because the crowd was able to, like, quote unquote, lack of a better word, hijack the show and also really get Charlotte thrown off her game and then get everybody off script? So is it an organic situation the same way that Becky Lynch got punched in the nose and she was bleeding? Is it that same type of organic nature, or do you think the design of the feud is Mania?
I think it's a mesh of both. Because I think they knew, hey, you know what? If we know how Chicago crowds are. It's the same. I think it's the same conversation they might have with characters like Tiffy and Charlotte. You never know what's going to happen with that crowd, and that crowd was solidly behind. They definitely didn't want to hear anything from Charlotte. So I think they had. And I think they know how to just play on it, which is like what Front Row said, man. The social media has been on fire with Charlotte now. And
now, if that segment happened in a town that's not a Chicago affiliate, New York, LA, or Montreal, how do you think that we would have the same discussion now about Charlotte and Tiffany?
Charlotte was already getting booed right from her return. I mean, not to that level, but she was not getting cheered with any regularity. But I did want to touch about what John said. I don't think that Tiffy is on Charlotte's level at all. Like, we're not even in the same conversation. But the storyline's dictating it. She's the champion. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup because I'm going to put on my under a tinfoil hat, right? How do you even the odds for somebody who is, yes, the champion, but clearly hasn't been around long enough to actually beat Charlotte Flair in the ring? Charlotte's a bad guy, so she's going to try to win with whatever tactics, right? I think one of the interesting ways that you could protect Tiffy would be to introduce somebody else, and I think a returning Becky Lynch in that match might be a way to protect Tiffy and set up Charlotte's next feud and refocus Charlotte away from somebody who can't tie her boots. Much respect to Tiffy.
I think that we're gonna see Razor Ramon against 1-2-3 Kid come Saturday with
Maybe.
this match.
I thought about that as
We're
well,
not going to
Andre.
expect it, but we're going to like the
Hey.
hell out of it and
Yeah.
the aftermath behind that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm waiting on. Because I want to see the Mad Queen.
They never wanted her to come back as a face. She was trying to come back as a face, but how could they want her to come back as a face when the first vignette you saw, she's laid out on a yacht, you know, she's all, you know what I mean? And then
That's all heel.
yeah. And then
that's-
come back and then say, hey, you know what? I'm in the Royal Rumble. And then come back. Wasn't she number 30 or very, you know, whatever, very late in the Rumble? And yeah,
Yeah,
and
28,
wins
I
it.
think, maybe.
Yeah, and then wins it. You know, so it just, how do we piss off the Charlotte haters that we know are out there now anyway? How do we piss them?
You have her
How
win.
do we get them
You
to
have her win.
thermonuclear level?
Yes. Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's as we're all aware, it's really by design. Not to say, and just real quick on the Chicago crowd. Obviously, to me, the plan was at some point they had to step on the gas for this and really heat this thing up leading into Mania. Did the Chicago crowd help step on that gas? Absolutely. Absolutely. They were like, aha.
They were a lit match.
Yeah. We were, okay, we're going this way. We're not sure. Oh, wait. There it is. Now we know.
Don, they were when you light a match and it's just almost down to burning your fingertip. They were that match. That was the match they were.
Yes,
they were
absolutely.
They were burning before she even came out.
Yes, absolutely.
Speaking of burning, somebody who's been white hot for a long time now, is actually one of the guests on Pat McAfee's special Big Night At that was on this week. It was a really, really fun show, and I think it's exclusively on Hulu now, but we did watch it live on his YouTube channel. Completely uncensored, so much fun. Michael Cole out there drinking Jack and cursing, and it was awesome. If you have the ability to check that show out, check it out. But Jey Uso, main event Jey Uso was on.
Yeah.
And he was really cool, and the crowd was eating and all that stuff. But this match against Gunther, I mean, when I first started realizing that that's where we're headed, I was like, all right, we've been there, done that. We kind of know the outcome, but it's been brilliantly told. The beatdown to Jimmy, all that stuff that they did to get to where they are now. Honestly, it's probably one of my favorite stories of Mania, and one of the matches, if not the match, I'm the most invested in the outcome of. I genuinely want him to win. As a fan, like, it's a pure good guy, bad guy. Gunther's done an incredible job with his like subtle reactions and all the stuff that he's been doing. So, Andre, let me start with you. How are you feeling about this, and is there a chance we're going to see Jey walk away with the title?
I have to start by saying this. Kofi Mania walked so Yeet Mania could run.
Okay.
This is gonna be the feel-good moment of night one. And honestly, we don't know how night 2 is gonna end, but this might be the biggest happy ending of the night. Everything else, we don't know where it's gonna go, but the level of, oh my god, brutality that Gunther has laid down to both Jey and his brother Jimmy is uncalled for. It is 100% old school rules, new school tools. This build does feel like a Hogan Andre for me, like that level, and that's how much I'm emotionally invested, because Gunther just knows how to bring it out from you. The mix of anger, empathy for whoever the hell he's beating the crap out of, verbally and physically. Because when Gunther throws jabs at you, you're like, ugh, shoot. Like, I felt that. There's some jabs that he threw at Jey Uso about like some legal stuff that he had to go through in the past, and like each of them stung. Like now we're finally getting to see the culmination of that feud here. Well told, and that was one of those feuds that at first felt very slow, and just in your head you're like, all right, we're just gonna go through this. It's gonna be one of the matches to check off for Mania till we get to the ones we want. All the way now to, why is this not the main event?
So listen, we all know, I admit it, we all get blown out just from watching it on TV. we're all yeet. We're doing the yeet, and then like I'm like 10 seconds in, I'm dead. Thank you, Jay, main event Jay Uso for getting the cardio of us out of shape wrestling fans. It's one of the sports where they're in such great shape, and the fans look like us. So, but.
See, this is why I love going to shows in places like Hershey, Pennsylvania, smaller stadiums, more like traditional American crowds. Is their pulse tells you what's really working in the product today. Because with us crowds, especially if you're in the New York area or LA, Chicago, Philly, you're exposed to so much wrestling that you're just overloaded with it.
Yeah.
But
by the way,
it's hard to
Andre,
tell, who you like. Mm-hmm.
Andre and John and also Front Row. I don't know if you're interested, but Hershey, PA. It's wrestling related also because I just saw a promo today for Hershey, PA, from Damian Priest saying Slayer is coming to Hershey Park,
and he's going to be the host of the show,
and he is going to host the show. So, horns up, brother. Mm-hmm. And he's going to go, come find out why my finisher move is called South of Heaven. Yes. So,
but yeah,
nice.
Hershey, PA
just wanted
is
to give that a
to
shout
go
out.
to, especially for wrestling, because that was when I realized the power of Jey Uso. Yes, we see it on TV. We saw Europe go banana with it. But in person, to see, that was a crowd of about 10,000. But everyone in that line, as they were going in, they were not saying, "Oh, I'm here for Cody. I'm here to do the whoa." No, everyone's like, "Yeet, yeet," to the point that it's a formal greeting to each other. The Yeet replaced John in Pennsylvania over there.
Yeah.
Your story, F4.
Yeah. So I've told this story on the show before, but a year and a half ago in October here in Charlotte was Jey Uso's debut as a single star on Raw, and I have video of it. The crowd went absolutely friggin' crazy, and they were yeeting and doing the whole entrance. It was like, I know it had been building because obviously people knew what to do, but to really see the whole arena doing it live was like, holy shit, Jey Uso is a big deal. Like, you know it on TV, but to your point, when you hear it and feel it in person, it's like, wow, this is Steve Austin level of energy. I know it's different, but it's everybody participating.
The first time that really blew up was in Europe, and they had these little lights on, and then you see the lights go up and down like crazy, and you think it's like a Bray Wyatt thing, but because of the pace of it, you see the motion of the entire arena flow together while yeeting.
No, it's got me. Look, it's even got my grandson. Everyone's eating.
Yes,
I do that there, and that's there's certain things where that you do, the noises or sounds you make, and the baby's like makes. As soon as I go yeet, and he just
All right, so let me go around the room. Andrew, I'll start with you. Who's winning today? Is Jey taking the title?
Uso's definitely winning the title.
All right, Mike.
Yeet.
Okay, John.
No yeet. Gunther retains.
Oh, unpopular. I go the yeet. I think he's walking away. It's not the main event. We know it's not the main event. They've already told us what the main events are.
Right.
But that's how wrestling should start.
Hey, you might be right there, John. No, but it's not the main event. What if they keep it for Backlash and then he becomes main event there and takes it there?
Well,
I want to see him win it on WrestleMania. So,
if they're going to do it, yes. I don't see it as much as I want to see it continue, and eventually, yes, Jey does become heavyweight champion. I don't know if I want to see it past Mania, but
I'm down for it if they do it the same way that Batista and Undertaker feuded together. Where at Mania, Batista loses the title, then he has the last man standing match at Backlash. Then now you just up the ante more with Jey and Gunther. Then you lead over to I guess that'll be their trilogy fight at that point. But you could even add another piece of the program, and that could be something that Gunther could be doing on the way to Clash.
Sure, Okay.
because another
Yeah.
European tour is
All right.
coming in the summer, right before Mania comes over here.
Mm.
But you know, it's interesting. You said something earlier about the legitimacy of Gunther. If you watch LFG, yeah, I guess people are always working. Gunther was happy and he was giving criticisms and stuff like that. But at one moment, he said to Undertaker, "Hey, you need to be a better coach. You need to coach
Yeah.
this person like a killer." And Undertaker's like, you know, in the cutaway, he's like, "Does he know who he's talking to?" But also, he's right.
Yeah.
like oh my god, like to actually not criticize or be disrespectful to, but to even make that comment to Undertaker was like, oh, like Gunther's no joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are two matches that I want to cover before. I know we're sort of like there's so many matches, right? We were already talking. There's already 13 matches on the card over 2 nights. But I want to I want to touch on Cody Rhodes versus John Cena first, because to me, this is almost an obvious, but I want to get your thoughts on it. I think John Cena has done an incredible job in the limited promos that we've gotten. He can't be on every week, which is perfectly fine. Cody's been doing a great job with the back and forth. John's going to be on SmackDown next week in Vegas. So, John, let me start with you. How are you feeling about this story?
I think it's different than the fact that this isn't what last year with Cody finishing the story. He is an integral part of it, but he's not the main focus like he was last year. I think the focus is on Cena and what he's done. And the version of Cena we're seeing now is in 20 years, we have never seen. We do not know an age, and there is a whole generation of fans right now that know no age of John Cena as a heel. And that, to me, is the most interesting part of this story, of this build. Yes, is it a credible opponent for Cody? Absolutely. You have, you have history and legacy. Can Cena become champion and break the record? But we're seeing just this aspect of Cena that we have already been exposed to. We have seen the heel turn and the subsequent promos. But the key point is like you just said, we don't see Cena every week. We want to see more of this, and it's like you waited until now, your last WrestleMania, to do this. And I think of, and it's weird, but hear me out. I think of the Dudley Boys, Devon and Bubba Ray, their Hall of Fame acceptance speech, and toward the end of it, Bubba looks at Devon and says, "Why did you pick tonight to become entertaining and funny?" and Devon's response was comical, but it was very true. Because before it didn't matter. This is the last time we're doing this. So might as well, give them something to remember. And that's exactly what Cena's doing for us now. And I think and even after Mania, even if he doesn't win, people are still going to want to see how John Cena finishes out this year. Does he have the come to Jesus moment at some point and say, "Oh my God, I messed up, I'm sorry," and apologize to the fans? Does he stay heel all the way through to the end, basically giving us all the big middle finger on his way out? It's to me, that's the most compelling part of this whole build. The promos have been excellent. Cody is absolutely delivered as your number one babyface champion. It was a very striking thing last night with Cody out there with all the previous championship belts and going through it and giving commentary on each belt. I thought that was a very excellent promo and visual element to it as well. So the buildup has been great. The only thing I want to see more Cena. I want Cena with a microphone. I want to see more of this heel Cena character, and where and how far he wants to go with it. And we're not getting that. And that's what's killing us. That's why people are saying, "Oh, this build-up sucks." No, you're not getting what you want. Well, guess what? This ain't
That's why if
the
you give them what
Burger
they
King.
want, then we'll all be wearing all the shirts and that'll be it, and booing Cody. No,
And the one part of this that people seem to be forgetting, for the most part, is you still have that lingering specter of The Rock, the final boss. He's kind of set all this in motion, but we haven't seen hide nor hair of him. Not even a comment, nothing even really on social media.
not even a weird throat split.
Yeah,
They did something with a Rubik's Cube yesterday.
Yeah, but
Wearing a New
with
Japan
the New
shirt.
Japan shirt, yeah.
The New Japan shirt, which is what everyone is talking about more than the Rubik's Cube.
So Andre, I'm going to ask you from a tinfoil hat perspective, right? So if we look at John Cena's as advertised as doing 30-something dates or whatever it is, it's been widely known that he has a bunch of dates that he's going to be doing. But if he's been absent for this period of time, does that mean that the next half of the year is going to be Cena heavy? Would that indicate a title run?
I think the dates still stay the same, title run or not. So once Cena takes the belt and goes home with him, then he gets the control whenever that belt appears. And hell, he gets to control what that belt will look like. He could bring back the spinner for all he wanted to.
What I'm saying is he has
Cena being heel and a Cena heel title reign is something that none of us in past, like whatever era that we grew up on, whatever era we fell in love with, we can't really tinfoil put the pieces together on what a Cena heel title run is going to look like. That's the fun part of this, is it's done so simply and delivered so well that you have the emotional parts of the heel, but you can't really chart the course of how far it could go. So that's why when we're talking about Cena versus Cody, I'm in such a stuck on a fork on the road in the tinfoil hat here, because there's one road where we could keep it simple. Super Cena comes in, Super Cena delivers, heel run, then we'll see him for the rest of the year being the heel champion while Cody's chasing whoever else is coming back or whoever is coming into the picture. Could start chasing long-term storytelling with a lot of former WWE superstars that they could sign in, like a Rusev, can be told, because their careers all came to a halt after facing John Cena. Like, all that could work, along with Cody getting the baby build, and whoever was disgruntled by the Super Cena era could be somebody that helps Cody rise even further. That's one side of the coin. But then the other side here is, what if this is such a road that we don't know where Cena's going to go, that we do the double turn? Where now Cody could say, "Oh, you think you're tough? You think you're the bad guy? I'll show you pure evil." And here comes Homelander Cody.
There you go. I was just going to ask that. Can that be? That's why I think like Cena can be the catalyst of the Cody heel turn, and it doesn't have to be like all of a sudden. It does, you know what I mean? It doesn't even, it could come later on, when that possible. Orton versus Cody comes around, which is something that everybody would love to see, and other possible ones, obviously more. But it went from, with Cena, it went from you want some, come get some, to now it's you want some, you can't have none. So, and that's what's pissing off. That's what's pissing them off.
Yeah, and he
He broke up with everybody, not just the people that love him. He broke up with everybody.
And John has the delivery, just like how Steve from Blue's Clues does his shows. And like that's why Steve got really viral a couple of years ago when he had that like promo, let's call it for what it is. It's a promo right in front of the camera, looking dead straight and asking, "How are you doing? Times are tough." Like really getting into the feels. And for me being the 90s kid that I am, that boom got me right in the jaw, because that's like an emotional connection I had. Cena did the same damn thing. Eyes on the camera, one-to-one relationship. Ignore the thousands around here. Well, but he's talking to you in the camera. But if you are in the audience, you're hearing every word and it's coming right at you.
Perfect.
Yeah. And in an everything counts world, like just the genuine feeling of both of these guys. I don't feel like they're cutting promos. The scene is just, I've had it with you people. I'm going out on my own terms and I'm taking the title with me. I deserve it. And Cody's like, yeah, no, me and my people aren't going to let you have this. And it was really, really well told.
And he's still
but I
only
did-
posting in philosophical quotes too. Yeah, so
Mhm.
he's not. There's no heel. See, what he's saying is heelish, but it's just quotes. Whatever. It's very strange.
But that's part
And
of
I'm
Cena's
in for
main
the ride.
philosophy here. He's not a
Yes.
baby face. He's not a heel. He's a human being.
Exactly. He's shown I'm not a heel. You people are the heels. There you go.
So he
It's
could
You
very
people are the
logical.
ones that turned that poor kid into the meme that millions of people watch.
One of the best things that we always talk about is like if a character only pivots or only adjusts 5% one way or the other, all of a sudden they're perceived differently. Kevin Owens a master at doing that. Drew McIntyre is a master at doing that. Same character, same messaging, slightly different perspective on it. And someone else I think that's been doing an incredible job with this is that what we're I guess going to get for the main event of night one is Roman, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. CM Punk has always been CM Punk, no matter what. Like that's the guy. He's giving you himself, and you can take it however you want. But what we're seeing with this dynamic with Roman, Punk, and Paul Heyman is very intriguing to me. And I kind of wanted to get your feeling. Like to me, this is probably one of, if not the most complex stories being told, especially when you include all of the backstory of which goes back years, decades at this point.
This is what I like about Triple H storytelling is whenever something big is about to happen, he's going to make sure that there's so many red herrings in the way, so you can't really pinpoint what's happening. But my tinfoil tells me that the story's heavy now on Roman and Punk. You have a lot of people saying, well, why is Seth Rollins here? It's all about Roman and Punk. Even though other people would say this is a culmination of Seth and Punk. So my tinfoil on this is, remember, there is a favor in play here. All favors are not yet fully cashed in.
Right.
Seth has a favor. Seth is the only one here who's not a Paul Heyman guy. But now that he's got said favor, Seth could be the next Paul Heyman guy. That's going to lead to a push. That could lead him to Seth versus Jey Uso with the wise man screwing over Jey Uso. A full heel Seth. And I think I could keep the theme song, the outfits, and everything. Keep it the way it is because people are gonna hate it when he talks on the mic. So you go from the woes and all that crazy stuff, but the moment he picks up the mic, everyone's like boo, and it'll get louder. The reason why I want to keep the woes in there is the crowd's energy will be up by that point. You're not waiting for boos from the get-go. Then once the promo starts, they're just going to be either booing or listening. They're not going to crescendo their way up unless Seth says something like phenomenal on the mic. But if you keep the sing-along in there for even a little bit, crowd's up here already. All Seth has to do is just roll with it. Not even Seth, because he'll have the wise man to begin with.
I love how Seth Rollins says to Paul Heyman, "You owe me a favor because I didn't kill you today."
Right.
Okay.
That's a fair thing to say. As you can see, I had every chance to just destroy you and take you out of Mania, but my foot was 1 foot away from you when that stomp hit. That's my mercy to you, and I'm not giving that for free.
Right. Well,
last minute storytelling added in there. It's so good.
Right. And here's something that we can consider. Leading up to this, up to that point, this past Monday night, it was all about what is the favor. What was the favor? What's it going to be? How is it going to be? And we saw that all play out brilliantly. But the favor is not done. Now we have another, the third person that was seemingly the third wheel in this match being Seth. Now he is right dead in the middle of it. This is truly a Paul Heyman on a pole match. Because now all three of them have an vested interest with Paul Heyman.
And let's add a storytelling point here from Mania last year. The reason why Roman lost the title with Cody was he had a fork on the road moment there. Do I attack Cody and retain, or do I swing this chair at Seth, who just happened to show up to help Cody out? he chose Seth.
Right.
And now we're here. That we could see where that pays off.
And while they touched on it here and there, the longest feud or connection in this entire match is Seth and Roman, going back to the days of the Shield, back to the turn of Seth into the Architect, when he basically turned on and dismantled the Shield.
It goes even further than that, because Punk was the one that brought in the Shield.
Right.
So everything counts.
Everything counts. Well, it's going to be really interesting. And Roman almost feels like an afterthought sometimes in this story, which is so crazy to say because the focus is so heavily on Punk and on Paul Heyman. But I do think that like all good triple threat matches, someone rolls to the outside, two guys battle, and then you forget about the other guy because he's been selling for 20 minutes. That's Seth Rollins. You forget about Seth Rollins, and all of a sudden, oh, he's the most important person in the match because here's a storyline point that we are just getting, just finding out about. I'm really excited for WrestleMania this year. I don't get the take that it's not exciting because it is. They got a lot of stuff, and I will close on this. I want to get your take on what we saw with Randy Orton, because when Randy RKO'd Nick Aldis, my first thought was, oh my God, because now Kevin Owens is out. Are we going to get Randy versus Nick? And the more I thought about it, the more we talked about it as a group, I was thinking that would be awesome, but it doesn't help Nick out at all. Like, in fact, he has to lose to Randy more likely. Like, where are they going? So based on what we saw last night, is Randy getting a match? Is it with Solo? What are we getting here?
Are we getting a match or a moment? Because I think maybe it might become a moment type thing. If like a match between Orton and all this is a well-peppered in storyline that's 2 years in the build at this point that you could pull the trigger on, and it's going to be a banger. It's going to be really fun. I just feel like Orton showing up in a different setting might be able to tell a story or two. Let's say Orton ends up showing up in Cody versus Cena. I know that's a big high stakes match. Having anybody interfere in it will like stir a lot of people the wrong way. But Orton, Cena, Orton, Cody, both of them have deep rooted stories here. Who does Orton help? That's the other side of things. Especially if you're going to go in the double turn route with a heel Cody. Like Cody could enlist the help of an old mentor, which will then turn that'll turn Cody heel. That can let Orton be both babyface and heel depending on the moment. But now we could look at Cody versus Orton at SummerSlam.
True, that would be interesting.
I would not want that to happen, but I'm just saying that it does have a good place in the match if it will go that way.
It makes more sense to me, just from what we saw last night, that we might have a return this week. That an Aleister Black or a Rusev or somebody come in and attack him, and they set up. I'm not a fan of, like, from an Aleister Black perspective, the promos that we've seen or the vignettes that we've seen, to me, hint towards April 25th, because that's sort of the date that's been in the smoke. To me, I think that's where they're going with that. And I don't know, Rusev, both of these guys being former WWE stars, I don't like debuting somebody a week before Mania and putting them in a Mania match. That doesn't make sense to me.
I got a tinfoil for you.
Okay.
So Orton's had a long story with a certain character that really went far and just never found its end. Maybe the dead can talk and comes to avenge him. What if it's Orton and the Wyatt Six?
That would be great. I think Bo Dallas is still injured, though, unless he is due to come back.
Doesn't have to be. All we need is Alexa Bliss and or Nikki Cross.
True.
Remember, it doesn't have to be a match. It could be a moment. So if that's the moment that starts the angle of Orton, having a program with the Wyatts to kind of clear, to follow that storyline through, get Orton to an even darker place, so that when Kevin comes back or when Orton versus the winner of Cena Cody ends up being a discussion, or wherever he gets thrown into, we're getting an even more demented Randy Orton once again. Because now the voice, you're hearing a lot of the commentators starting to say, oh, the voices are starting to come into his head again. Let's let him go a little bit deeper for our Netflix audience to see how demented things can get. Throw him at the
I think we're missing the obvious. We're missing the obvious here. Who has a long-term story with Randy? Who got RKO'd years ago?
R-Truth.
Nia Jax.
There's the story.
Yeah,
That's a spectacle too.
absolutely.
Spectacle matchup. The first
I
intergender match.
I see that as the Raw after Mania coming up.
Okay,
so,
fair enough. Fair enough.
honestly, but I'm not against any of it. Just I don't see it leading into Mania or even part of Mania. I see that as something because the night after Mania, we all know historically has been like the reset. You know, Mania happened. Now what is the next year?
Sometimes we get more excited for the Raw after Mania than we do for
Sure,
actual
'cause
Mania.
you want to see the aftermath of everything and where they're going to go. So I think if they're going to do
How
something like
exhausted are we going to be at the by the time Raw, after Mania?
In NXT.
We're all going to be
And
like, oh my
NXT.
god.
By Wednesday night, we're gonna feel it. That's when our bodies are really gonna take a toll.
Right.
Well, we'll be able to relax and watch whatever's on Wednesdays.
By the way, I think that the show stealer of Mania Night 2 will be Damian versus Drew.
Thank you.
That's going to be Shane versus Miz at Mania 35 level, and it's going to go all over Allegiant Stadium. Then the surprise win of the night for me for Night 2 will be Dominic Mysterio winning the Intercontinental Championship by possibly rolling up Finn or even getting a dirty win over Penta.
Wow, yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Great.
Well, all right, people. Andre, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. I appreciate your time as always. Appreciate your friendship. Where can people find you on the socials? What do you have coming up?
On X at Producing Giant and on everywhere else at Andre the Producing Giant.
Cool. John?
I am at Twisted Metal Fab, like it says on the screen, on the X and the Instagram. And as always, keep up with the exploits of the most dangerous weapon in all of professional wrestling, now version 4.0. Of course, I am talking about the Ass Kicker 9000, the AK9K, and you can keep up with all of his exploits at Ass Kicker 9K on Instagram.
Nice. Mike,
Let
how
me
about
add
you?
one more thing also. If you are out on the West Coast and you want to hang out with the Busted Open crew, we'll be in town Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific is our Masters class taping. Then on Saturday, I'd like to say, 2 p.m. Eastern, -3, so 11 a.m. Pacific. It'll be the live Busted Open party at Wynn Las Vegas and Intrigue Nightclub. So come out, hang out. It's free, no charge. Just go on SiriusXM.com/BustedOpen2025 and then reserve your spot there. It's expected to be the biggest Busted Open party in our 16-year history.
It will be.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the people from our group were there last year in Philly, and it was a blast. It was friggin' awesome. So if you're going to be out there, you have to make your way to that party.
Well, yeah, there's going to be a ton of our crew there. I mean, Trent, the Money Mark, fucking Scotty from Long Island, the Fathead creator, the ultimate guy who makes all of these great fatheads, the Dave Fathead. It just, he's the heartbeat of our central crew. I would argue to say, and also want to say congratulations out there to our very own Christina from Baltimore.
She's a mommy.
She's a mother. We have another crew member, and Avery is his name. Mm-hmm. So welcome to the world, Avery Morton. You got a big sis in Siggy, and you got a great mom and a great grandpa and a great family, and you got the crew behind you.
And I'm an uncle.
Yeah, we're uncles. We're all honorary uncles.
Yes.
Uncle Bully too.
Yes.
And also, hey, tax day's coming up, man. I got to see Dave is wearing the CPA tie here with his busted open Cody Crybaby robe. So April 14th, April 15th, whatever the hell it is. I don't pay taxes. Did I say that on live? No. Pay taxes. Pay your taxes. Pay the CPA. Let's go, girls.
Yeah. All right, Mike, where can people find you?
Mongrovian Mike. That's it, man. I'll leave everyone alone. I talked enough.
Cool. Well, you can find me at PW Front Row on all the socials. You can find us at Nation's Corner on X/Twitter and The Nation's Corner across all of their socials. I'm not sure if we're going to be having a show next week because I think the pre-show starts like 6 hours before the freaking show. So we'll stay tuned to the socials. We'll let you know. But appreciate you joining us tonight. Go see all the Busted Open stuff. I'm going to say it again. I did all the stuff last year, and all of it was awesome. I had such a blast, and I didn't actually go to any wrestling shows. I literally went to Busted Open parties, hung out with my people, and went home, and it was the best weekend. It was amazing.
Yes,
So we got
Uncle
special
Bully's
guests there
party.
too. If you want to meet D'Lo Brown, The Godfather, Natalia, that's at the party. The Nature Boy, Ric Flair, woo! He's gonna be our guest master for the Masters Class tapings. So definitely show up, turn up, and have fun.
Uncle Bully's
gonna be
throwing
awesome.
parties. Mark Henry is DJing. You know, they're all doing something, man.
Yep.
Have fun.
It's going to be
Have fun,
awesome.
crew.
So
I love my crew.
thank you again, Andre. Everybody go enjoy WrestleMania next week, and we will talk to you again soon. Later, folks.
Later.